What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lost Holocron podcast, the coolest podcast around the galaxy. I am your host, Didge, and with me today is my good friend Jamie. Jamie, how are you doing today? I tried to think of like a sentence to come into it, that I couldn't think of anything. I got to come
Uh,
up with a script for an intro.
the all-powerful Jamie.
Oh God,
I don't know. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to my
I
mind.
don't know either.
But I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here and talk about Bad Batch. We have a crazy, crazy episode to talk.
This
Well,
was a very fun episode.
it was. So I'm excited to jump into it.
I am too, but before we get to that, we got a trailer over the last couple of weeks that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and it's for a show that I am really excited to talk about. So we are going to watch the trailer together, and then let's talk about this trailer for The Acolyte. Have you seen it? You said you couldn't remember.
I might have seen it, but honestly, I feel like it'll be almost like the first watch again.
All right, that's fair. I've seen it many times. So can you hear it?
I can't.
Close your eyes.
Maybe this is why I didn't see it. I closed my
Your
eyes.
can deceive you. We must not trust them. Tell me what comes into your mind.
Life. Balance. I see fire.
I know they was watching that kid after he said that.
Yeah, that was some school shooter energy. Let's go.
Someone is killing Jedi.
Mm,
It doesn't make
I
sense.
do remember this because of the Killmonger cut.
I sense the
remember now.
darkness.
This isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who is allowed to use it.
What is that?
Two-episode premiere.
So that's our first trailer for The Acolyte. Probably only trailer considering that it's coming out in June. They might show some other stuff, especially for around May 4th.
Yeah, maybe some pictures.
But like I said, it's a coming out this June. It has a star-studded cast. It has Amanda Sternberg, who's as May, so the assassin who was coming around. You got Lee Jung Jae. I hope I pronounced that right. As Soul's obviously the teacher. Of Squid, famously for Squid Games. I think that's probably the thing that most American audiences may remember him by.
Mm-hmm.
You have Daphne Keane as Jackie Lone. I don't think we saw her in the trailer, or at least it was very quick in the background. Manny Jacinto as the smuggler who was going around. I don't know how to pronounce the smuggler's name, so he's just smuggler. You also have Carrie Ann Moss, famously from The Matrix, as another Jedi Master. Obviously, you saw her fighting in the bar. Like I said, just a very star-studded cast, and for one, and I know AJ, he's not here today, but I know for him as well, we've both been very, very excited for this series, and this trailer just only heightened that. But how are you feeling about the trailer?
It looks really good. I'm definitely excited to see it. I know I've also heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is supposed to take place like much further before the Skywalker saga. Right?
Yeah, so it's 100 years before all of that.
Okay.
So it's during the High Republic era, sort of the dwindling of the High Republic. But I know one of the things, like I said, AJ and I have been very excited about it, is because we're hoping that it's going to just be the tip of, all right, now we're going fully into this era that it has shown a lot of really cool stuff in the comics and books already, but also is just completely uninvolved with everything that we've seen from just the Star Wars universe so far, with obviously staying within the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, I hope this is like super successful so that we can continue to see more stories outside the Skywalker saga, because I know it's
Hmm.
something that you and AJ and plenty of other Star Wars fans like really want to see, but also just like continuing to flesh out the world and figuring out, I guess, how like people just, a Jedi wasn't just born, like
Yeah,
there was a whole like process to it and refinement of the art of being a Jedi and everything. So being able to get like closer and closer to like that origin story, I think is really interesting. Also, just I don't know. I feel like it's been forever since we've seen so many Jedi. Like we
yeah.
had like you usually get like one or two nowadays, but there was like there was a whole bunch of them in this trailer. So I'm really excited to see like how they all interact together and like what kind of, I guess, foolishness they could get into. um but yeah, this is looking really cool, and I'm excited for June.
Yeah, June, just even outside of Star Wars, June is a stacked month. Like, obviously, we
Mhm.
have the Acolyte now. House of the Dragon is going to be back.
Mm.
Um, Crap, I'm blanking now because it was so on a video gaming standpoint. For me, it's Elden Ring is going to be back.
Yeah.
Um, there was two other releases in June, and it's such a packed month that I just remember being like, I'm glad I don't have major plans that month.
Yeah, yeah, that is for sure. I currently don't have any major plans, so I should be fine. But
Right.
um, I'm
Yeah, well, I
actually
guess that's what
torn
I should also
between.
say.
I'm kind of torn between like wanting to go back to House of Dragon, because I legitimately just did not like anybody on that show
Oh, that's fair.
at
I enjoyed
all.
the
Like,
show. You pick your side. Also,
yeah.
the bear and the boys are both coming back in June.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm in
So,
those. I'm in those.
so, so, like I said, June is a very packed month. So I'm glad Star Wars is sneaking into there. Now it's
Mhm.
almost like it's gonna be that like nice time of TV where it's like, all right, on Mondays I gotta watch this, Tuesdays this,
Oh my
this, and this,
gosh.
and it's just it's gonna be a lot to keep up with for
Yeah.
somebody who consumes a lot of media. But
Hmm.
it's also a very fun time, especially like for conversations like that we have, like we're gonna have here about the Bad Batch and everything.
Yeah, I'm putting on my serialized right now so I don't forget. That's the only reason I don't use serialized to interact with other people's ratings. I'm like, just remind me what I'm supposed to be watching
When
this
stuff
week.
is coming out, yes,
Yeah.
that's 100% what my serialized is for as well. But it's good to have that.
Hmm.
Because you can fall behind on something so quickly.
You sure can. You sure can. But what were your thoughts about the trailer and everything?
I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, this is obviously something that I've been wanting to see for so long. So to see it live action is really good. I would have took animation as well, but live action does hit a little bit better because you see the stuff that's like, oh man, this is cool to see real people doing it. So I also really like the cast. Like I said, they went all out, got a lot of I want to say household names. I feel like a lot of people watched, like obviously people know the Matrix.
Hmm.
Obviously a whole bunch of people watch Squid Game. So like I feel like they're, if they're not household names, they're names that when people see them or just even see the actor, they're gonna be like, oh man, that's cool that they're in this. Like I think it reminds me sort of Rogue One, like when you had Donnie Yen in it and um you had Forrest Whitaker in it and stuff, and you're like, oh, this is cool that they're in it now. Even way, because I remember thinking the same thing way back
Hmm.
when the first of the prequel trilogies came out, when Phantom Menace, and seeing Samuel L. Jackson, I was like, oh man, this
Yeah.
is cool. So I always just on a small level like when there's bigger name actors in Star Wars, just because it's cool to see them be as excited for something that I love so much.
I'm with you there. That was definitely, as a kid, like I thought that the Star Wars movies came out in order. So like seeing like Samuel L.
Mm,
Jackson, like Liam Neeson and stuff in like the first trilogy, And then like seeing them like do other things in real life, I'm like, wait, how old are they? I'm like, wasn't this filmed a long time ago?
Yeah, that's
So that
fair.
was so confusing for me as a kid. And then I finally learned, like, no, like they were filmed after the, I guess, original trilogy, not technically the first. So
Right,
that
right.
was funny.
So before we get into this current week's episode of the Bad Batch, if I remember correctly, I don't think we talked about episode 8.
Did we not?
I don't think we did because I think I don't know what happened, but episode 8 was the episode where they had their outing with Fennec Shand. They had to go capture. Oh God, what was that?
Oh, did you hear something?
Yeah, I don't know. Something got really loud in your background.
Oh, it could be my washing machine. I went back to Disney Plus because I had it open. So I was trying to see. That's so weird. How did we
I don't
miss an
know.
episode?
I don't
Oh,
know
wait.
actually.
I don't think we talked about 8. I don't think
Okay.
we met
I
last week.
don't. So we can just go through it really quickly. The episode was really just their outing with Fennec Shan, so they can get the information. Who who can get them the information they were actually hoping that she would have.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to figure out more about the M count thing, and they figured, oh, she would know because she was hunting Omega. And when she was like, oh well, I don't know, but I know someone who could. And I figured, like I said, we can really just gloss kind of over it because the big reveal was this episode, so it almost fits that we've talked about these two together.
Yeah.
But from what you remember of the episode, how did you like episode 8?
Um, it's crazy because literally I was like, what happened in this episode? But no, now that you brought up that they met with Finnick Shand and they talked about like where they can get more information, the count is bringing things back. I did like this episode. It was definitely, from what I can remember, it feels like a setup for this current episode, which
Yeah.
I have to, I was much more excited for this episode, for episode 9 than episode 8 for sure. Um, but I think it's just, making more progress as far as the group kind of coming together, and we can kind of see them like work as a unit and being able to talk with like Finnick Shan and kind of like, I guess, poke that bear and see what happens. Like so far,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly it worked out by episode 9, but it's cool to be able to see her again. And also, I feel like they've talked with a lot of people that are in the gray, I guess. Like they're not necessarily good, they're not necessarily bad, at least in these last couple episodes. So that's also been interesting to see. Because I would say like the Bad Batch is like generally like they're the good guys, they're trying to do the right
Mm-hmm.
thing. So to see them work with these kind of like morally gray people where for the most part I think they see themselves as good too, but they're also willing to do bad things, I think is interesting. And I wouldn't say indicative of maybe what they might be doing in the future, but it does give me thoughts. It does give me thoughts.
No, I could understand that. I feel like to your point of them working with a lot of people in the gray, it sort of shows what the galaxy is as a whole right now.
Hmm.
Obviously the Empire, that's the darkness. They're full on evil. But everything that opposes them isn't necessarily full on light either. Like I think
Right.
it sort of shows great straight shades of gray in the world, and in terms of fleshing out an entire living, breathing universe, it makes sense. So I am glad that you kind of see that, because then you see, well, even people who are always trying to just do the most good, what can push them to not do that greater good, I guess. Like I said, this episode, it was very much just uh I feel like it would be what you would get if you were getting a strictly bounty hunter like series. Like I know you got
Hmm.
the Mandalorian, but obviously that's not just a strict bounty hunter type series.
Right.
There's a whole
I
larger story
legitimately
there.
forgot that he was a bounty hunter. I'm not gonna lie.
Which makes sense. I mean, he's a bounty hunter almost in name only right now. Like,
Hmm.
yes, he still does his task, but it's definitely a part of, well, this I have to do this anyway, so I might as well do the bounty while I'm in this town.
Yeah.
Whereas this week's episode where Finnick, she is full on just, I'm a bounty hunter. This is my next mark. And you
Hmm.
know what? You're gonna help me find them. So I enjoyed it for that, because it gives you an image of, well, if we just got a bounty hunter series, this would be kind of fun. It
Mm-hmm.
might not be able to last fully forever because
Yeah.
you might get tired of the villain of the week type series, but it could be fun for a little while. It'd be a nice mini series just to like follow different bounty hunters, but also as a part of just like I said, the overall story, it set up this episode really well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think instead of just keep jumping and trying to, hide about it, we could definitely just jump right on into episode 9. Asajj is back. We finally got
Yeah.
we
She's it.
finally, I don't think any of us predicted this episode.
Yeah, wait. So I was trying to think, like, how many episodes are in the season? Do you know? Because I
There
know
are
we said
15.
15. So that was about
I,
right for
I
somebody,
remember
I think.
AJ was
It was
saying,
like about halfway through the season or something.
I remember AJ was saying right before, like right going like into that final arc. So he was saying like episode 12. I remember I
Oh.
did one better than him. I was like, no, it's gonna be 11 because the title of it is The Point of No Return. Something's gonna happen. I can't remember which you might be closer. I can't remember which episode you had chose. So you could be right. You could have chose around here.
Let's say I was. I don't know.
I don't blame you. Of course, you just want the glory. I get
Absolutely.
it. I get it.
Absolutely.
But this episode was, like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. I wish it wouldn't have got ruined for me.
Oh,
My
yeah.
cousin must pay, I would tell him that. I don't need you messaging me going Asajj, and it's just like I haven't watched the episode yet,
I
man.
know.
Appreciate
It happened
appreciate.
like 5 minutes into the episode. If you just want to see the first 5 minutes.
That's what I think. That's what's the terrible part because I bet it happened while he was watching it in real time. Then,
Dang.
but I mean, like you said, it happened in the first 5 minutes, and it would have been really cool. Like I hope it was cool for you guys to just see the build up and knowing like, oh, okay, this is who we're getting. This is
Yeah.
fun. We've been waiting for this. It's great. Haircut was
See,
trash.
okay, well now I was shocked that she had hair in general.
Yeah,
Like
you said you thought she was bald, right?
yeah, I
Like
thought she
just
was
couldn't hair.
yeah, like I didn't think that. I thought when you became a night sister is like we swear off our hair. Like that's
But
it.
you saw Marin.
That is true. I don't know. For Asajj specifically, I'm like, I don't think she was gonna be.
And the one in Ahsoka.
Listen, Didge, stop fighting this with facts and logic, okay? I assumed Asajj was a bald woman, and that was it.
Well, to be fair, I'm with you. I didn't think that she couldn't grow hair. I just thought she just doesn't.
Well, you never even see like the stubble,
Like the
you
stubble,
usually
I
get
get
from
you. I
bald
get you.
characters. Well, it's like
I
bald
fully
characters that shave
understand.
their head. So I thought she was just like, she was not follically gifted. That's what I thought,
Follically gifted is crazy. But no, I'm with you. Like you said, you never saw any inkling of, oh, this is a choice for her.
Yeah.
I just thought she was just a bald character.
Yep. I'm like, you know what? That's cool. We need more diversity with these women. So I'm down for it. But I thought the cut was interesting. I feel like a lot of like Omega's kind of warrant something similar. So I don't know if that's the style of the galaxy right now, but
That's the hot style in the
yeah,
galaxy.
that's the hot style. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's not my favorite, but
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Go ahead, Asajj. Do you?
I think it was just more so being happy that she's back.
Yeah.
I'm still so curious how she's alive because it just doesn't make sense to me. And especially because they said that the book in which that she died is supposed to still be canon. And I'm just like, so how? And granted, people come back in Star Wars
Yeah.
a fairly good number of times. Oh, didn't mean to hit my mic. But so that's not shocking in and of itself. It's just like, explain, please.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully. And that's the other thing about this episode that is interesting is the fact that, not to skip too far ahead, but she does end up leaving the group. And I was kind of thinking, like, once we got Asajj, we would see her, like, a little bit more. So I feel like we'll see her again in this season, hopefully. I mean, this is the final season, so hopefully we do.
I mean, we got 5 weeks because 2 episodes. They're coming out with 2 episodes next week. So
There's 2 episodes next week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't even. What was my train of thought here?
about her leaving.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if they're gonna like get into, because this would be, I guess, the only property in which they would explain like how she got out of that situation. If it was
Yeah,
like some night sister like witchcraft something, I don't know.
yeah.
But
Unless they're going to do like an Asajj show or just something tying around
oh,
where she would show up.
hmm,
I don't, because obviously I don't know what their plans are, but I'm just trying to think. I don't know fully on what else that she would show up in that we know that's coming soon.
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, but I would be happy to have her back so that way my theory can still live on. So let's do it. Let's do it. Hashtag Asajj come back.
Oh God! Hashtag Asajj come back is crazy. I would like to see more Asajj. Don't get me wrong. It
Yeah.
it would be. I don't think that any of the Bad Batch are gonna have a happy ending. So maybe not here. We
Oh
don't need her
no! Now
attached to
you're
the.
on this train too.
I don't. I don't
None
see
of
that the show.
them.
I don't see this show having a happy ending. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I've been talking with you and AJ, but now I don't think I can see it anymore either.
It would be very. It's tough to see because we know where it's set in the timeline, and I think that's the issue of having shows set in inside of already built sandbox. You
Mhm.
know you're going to come to the edge at some point.
What
And
is the next big event towards I guess in this time frame that you feel like they would not have a good chance of having a happy ending? I won't say survival, but just having a happy ending.
hmm, I don't remember if this is set in the time between episode 3 and 4 or right after episode 4. But either way, throughout the height of the empire, you mean to tell me nothing? Just they just lived in the background.
I mean, why not?
All right. I mean, I'll keep hope with you. I don't know if I see it, but
Yeah,
you know, it would be nice.
it
But
would be nice.
let's talk about the episode as a whole. We just sort of talked about the impact of Asajj being back.
Mhm.
Um just in the episode itself, obviously they were trying to figure out what the M count stand like what is that about?
Yes.
Um and we finally get answers that it is reflecting their innate ability to connect with the force.
Hmm.
Um Immediately Asajj was like, "Well, you wouldn't have it because you're a clone," and I don't. It was that was an interesting thing of why she just automatically assumed clones wouldn't be. Obviously, she backtracked on it very quickly, but she
Yeah,
was so sure of herself.
yeah, and I feel like I don't know. When you think of clones, I feel, oh, at least in my head, I'm thinking of something that's like synthetic or not like, I guess, organic. But like
Sure,
the clones, they were copied from somebody, and maybe
yeah.
that person was like force sensitive or something, you
That
know?
I think that's sort of my point. Is like at some point somebody was this blueprint,
Yeah.
and like we know that the clones were all based off of Jango Fett. So
Hmm.
it's like we don't granted obviously he was never at least said explicitly or anything that to be force sensitive to the point where you can be a Jedi or anything,
Yeah.
but the way that she like you have some innate sensitivity at
Hmm.
whether it's high, you have to reach a threshold or whatever. So it was just interesting to her to just automatically like, no, it's gonna be 0. So because it's like, all right, there's anomalies that happen. Obviously the entire Bad Batch themselves are showing that there are anomalies
Yep.
when you're in the cloning process.
Yep. And
So
she
that
did
was
kind of say that in this episode as well. It's like, like that would be unusual for a clone to have a high M count. But then again, you guys aren't normal. So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
So yeah, that was interesting. It was cool to see her utilize her powers. Like when they were distrustful of her the entire episode, especially after figuring out who she was. But when it all came to a head and they sort of attacked her, she took care of them basically hand to hand,
Yep.
and that was fun to see.
That was really cool. Because I don't know if we've ever seen her fight hand to hand, or honestly any of the other Jedi's fight hand to hand, at least like to that extent.
Yeah,
Um, she could throw down. Like, she don't need the lightsaber. She could pack people up with her hands.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it, like, especially like seeing in live action or anything or animated. I can't think of too many times where you just saw the Jedi, like you said, have to fight without using a lightsaber. Like they were very much the samurai of it all,
Yeah,
where the sword is my weapon, not necessarily somebody who like I can fight, but also I have this.
yeah. It makes me think of the fragrant meme of the guy that's like, I may be out of mana, but I'm not out of options.
That means so funny.
That meme is hilarious. Oh my gosh. But
But yeah, that was another cool thing. Obviously, the whole test aspect of it,
mhm,
it was very cool to see some of the Jedi ways to test like an M count, not using some machine like how the Empire just did it, and then the finding the monster at sea or having to fight the monster at sea. I noticed on Twitter, I think it was afterwards, people were showing how kind of reminiscent it was of Ahsoka, where they're using their powers, both her and Asajj using their powers to
mhm,
calm down this big beast. So that was a cool dichotomy to show that, like, just to show another way that people who are in tune with the Force are very connected with nature.
mhm,
I feel like that's probably the easiest and most iconic way to do it, is to show like this big ass monster,
mhm.
or you calm it down.
I was kind of half expecting like Omega to finally show her like potential and like calm the monster down, because I think
Mm,
like throughout the series she's just been really good with animals. So I'm like, oh, like this
yeah,
would kind of be more in Omega's wheelhouse. I'm like, maybe she did kind of contribute in some kind of way, but definitely Asajj stole the show at that point. I'm
yeah.
kind of curious, like, do you think? Because it seems like Asajj kind of implicated that Omega does have some potential with the Force, even though like none of the tests had any kind of obvious signs. They're like, oh yeah, like she is like connected to the Force in any kind of way. So I'm wondering, do you believe that she Asajj like saw something in Omega, or she's just like concerned because it's like a little girl and the Empire's like after them, or I don't know. What's your perspective on that?
I don't think the test had the more, like, I think she kind of embellished about what the test needed to do. I don't think it was more so to see, well, how big your connection is. I think she was already able to sort of sense that, and the tests are
Mm-hmm.
really about how well can you wield that connection, because she kept saying you need to focus here, you needed to be able to do this, you needed to be able to do that, and I feel like it's sort of it's showing whether or not you have the aptitude to learn how to use it versus can you connect with it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that vein, I to answer your question about it, at least I can fully see her lying to them to be like, well, if you don't continue trying to, I guess, tap at this well, maybe it'll go off radar. I don't know. It was kind of weird for her to do that, because knowing that they're already after her, regardless of whatever she does here, whatever she says to them, it doesn't matter. The Empire knows they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be after her. You would think that she would be like, well, let me make sure you're best prepared as you can. Where she just kind of was just like, forget about it. I'm gonna lie and hope that it kind of squashes your ability, but at the same time, it's not gonna erase the target that's on her back.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, because even if she knew like, yeah, you have like a connection to the Force, like where do you go from there? Like, it's not like it automatically, I feel like, changes things for Omega.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, she did seem kind of excited at the idea of like, oh my god, like I can be a Jedi. But even then, later in the episode, when Asajj was like talking with her about having discipline, and Omega's like, I am disciplined, like, I've been training with the clones and like these soldiers, I have discipline in that way. She's like, yeah, well, being a Jedi is something that's completely different. So I feel like it maybe would have given, or maybe caused Omega to think about things a little bit and kind of where she wanted I guess, her future to go. But I don't know. I kind of hope they continue to explore that. I don't. It's interesting. I don't necessarily want Omega to become a Jedi, but I also
Mm-hmm.
don't think it would be like a bad thing either. So now that we just have this information, I'm like, I have no idea where to go from here. I'm like,
Yeah.
obviously run from the Empire, but what else do you do? Do you start force training, or do you just, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It kind of paints an interesting picture of, well, where is this series going? We know that
Yeah.
there's 6 episodes left. Um, we know that their goal is kind of to. I think their goal is to get rid to release all of the other clones. It's,
Hmm.
that's for sure Omega's goal. Whether or not that's the rest of the team's goal, I kind of get mixed signals about it. I'm not sure what their goal is. Like, it kind of just feels like, on one hand, it's, we have to just survive.
Yeah.
That's all I care about, is surviving. But on the other hand, it's, well, yeah, let's go along with this girl's plan because it is the right thing to do.
Hmm.
And I think them sort of playing their card of, well, this is what the M count is. This is why the Empire is after them so early. Now it's just kind of like, well, where are we going from here? And that's the I think the one drawback I had from this episode is because, like you said, Asajj left them, sort of left them with those words of, yes, I lied, because, like, obviously the rest of the team knows, besides Omega, it's, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I lied, it's for your safety. Well, it's like, but how?
Yeah.
And how? What is that? What are the repercussions of that lie?
I think I don't know. And part of me was kind of wondering, like, if Asajj had given Omega a test where she like emotionally provoked her and then tried to see like if it would be easier for her to like draw at the Force, which is I think it's supposed to be like a Sith technique. I guess like you're not supposed to feed into your emotions, but still
Yeah.
another way to connect with the Force. I was kind of wondering, like, would that have worked out for her a little bit better? I don't know. So maybe she was like didn't want to tell Omega that to get her like all riled up, and maybe like some kind of Force event would happen later on because like she knew she had this potential, and then she was also getting emotional and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I hope that she comes back next episode, but then it's like, why did you leave in the first place?
Yeah, and that's the
So
thing. Like, it's, were these cameos for the sake of advancing the story, or did they say, well, this will be a cool cameo to add, that'll be a cool cameo to add, now let's
yeah.
tell the story around it. And
Mhm.
I think it's one of those things where, obviously you won't know fully until you see the end of the story.
Mhm.
But as we're standing right now, I do kind of get that feeling of, well, somebody just said, yo, it'll be cool if Asajj was really alive. Maybe because they do have something they want to do with her later, and they can't say it now, but it's just like, did you really sow the seeds for it either?
I'm really curious to see like what the I guess it's now next 2 episodes will look
Hmm.
like, considering like Asajj is left. They do know what the M count is now, and like you were saying, which is a good reminder. They are at least considering, or at least Omega wants to go back and free the rest of those clones that are in that facility. So that's I feel like pretty likely that they'll at least revisit it in some kind of way. But once again, no idea where we're going.
Yeah, and I think that seems to be sort of the lay of the land for this series, at least this season. At least
Yeah,
it's been, we got a vague idea of where we're going. Well, we have a vague idea of what we hope to do,
yeah.
but how we get there, why we're going there, and what we're going to do when we get there are kind of like, we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
And it's been a fun ride. Don't get me wrong. It's for sure been a fun ride. But at some point, at least halfway through your series, or through your season at least, you would hope that the picture was starting to become a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not just connecting it, the dots, to correctly or whatever. But for me, it kind of hasn't.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've definitely honestly the entire series I've kind of just watched it a bit more casually instead of trying to piece things together.
Hmm.
Um I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't fully invested season one. I was kind of here just to be here. Then season two, I feel like I really started to connect with everybody on the cast and like what was happening with them. So now that they have me invested, I feel like they're not necessarily letting me down, but not fully taking advantage of the investment that people have and really telling this, or at least laying the seeds for like what could be a greater story. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, I figure they're gonna go back to that like clone facility where they were like experimenting on clones. Outside of that, I have no idea like what anybody else wants to accomplish outside of Omega.
Hmm. I think yeah, that's probably the case. It's the thing of, and I know we used to talk about it so many times back when we were podcasting on GVN about sticking the landing. This show can do so much good, but none of that matters if you can never stick the landing.
Yeah.
And it's been in the back of my mind probably most of the season, but I will say just sort of how these last two episodes ended, it's starting to get a little louder of I don't know if they're going to stick the landing correctly.
Yeah, I don't know, and especially with like some impending doom, I'm like, you gotta give me
You
these
gotta
characters
build,
while they're around.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's the other thing. Knowing obviously you can add another series and do whatever if you want to still show these characters.
Yeah,
Just knowing that they have a shelf, they have like a termed shelf life.
yeah.
You know, so it's like you said, you got to get me these stories while they're around
Hmm.
because we're going to the High Republic era. We're going, we're going beyond the Skywalker saga with the Rey movie, or we're going all the way back to the Dawn of the Jedi. I don't know how much longer we have to play in this sandbox.
Yeah.
So this sandcastle, if you want to call that the picture, needs to start taking shape. And I
Hmm.
think that's where, like I said, the last few episodes, while they've been a ton of fun, I've been having a good time. That has been weighing on me that this sandcastle might not take shape.
Yep, yep. Might be a big old pile of dirt, but that's still fun too.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
always
as
fun to kick
impressive.
around some dirt.
Yeah, it's just not as impressive.
Not yeah, right. It takes a little less. You might not win the sandcastle contest, but you'll
Right.
have fun that day.
Yep. Wow.
So I think that is everything, especially for these two episodes. We got a chance to talk about the Acolyte trailer. I think I'll also probably cut that out and just release it on its own. That way we can have a nice little trailer reaction.
Yeah.
But other than that, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Uh no, I don't think so. I feel like we had a really good conversation today, especially about like the direction of where the series is going. Oh wait, actually,
Mm.
predictions. Do we have any new predictions?
Ooh.
I'm gonna stick with mine. Asajj will come back. She will
Okay.
teach Omega the ways of the Force, and they'll run off into the sunset on ponies.
On ponies.
On
Okay,
ponies.
interesting. Obviously AJ is not here today, so I'm gonna pick up his prediction. I don't see a happy ending here. I'm not necessarily gonna say that they all die. That's harsh. But I
Mm.
don't see a happy ending here. And I think the quicker we just sort of all sit together and realize it, the less it'll hurt. At least I hope.
Man.
It is what it is, Jamie. I'm sorry. No
Well,
ponies. But
what?
but where can the people find you, and what do you have coming up that you would like for them to support?
Oh my gosh. Well, funny you should ask that. I'm pretty sure it was on this podcast a month ago that I mentioned, like, you know what? I want to post my first video on the Swiper Shampoo channel. By the end
You
of the
said,
month.
yeah. Guess what
Like,
tomorrow is?
yeah, yeah. So that's not gonna happen, unfortunately. But I have been making great progress. So I'm gonna move my personal goalpost to the what month are we? Yes, the end of April. I'll move it to the end of April.
Mm.
I feel like there should be some kind of like punishment thing that I have to do. So I don't know. Give me some ideas in the comments. Please be nice to me. Um, but yeah, I have that coming up, and then outside of that, I've been streaming Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on Twitch. I've been having fun doing that. I haven't hit all the mini games and stuff with Golden Saucer yet. But I am trying to figure out how to date Tifa. I'm a bit of a love triangle right now. I'm trying to escape it.
Look,
So
the game clearly wants you.
the game,
Clearly
yeah,
does
by
not want
default
that.
you date Aerith, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to do
Yeah.
that. So join me on that adventure.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I am very curious if you get it around because the clips I've been seeing and the videos that I've been watching on your when you're playing, you are definitely about to date Aerith. And so have fun with that. I know it's not like it's gonna be a bad time, but I know that's not
Right.
the partner you want.
No.
But you can find me at dig_DEE everywhere. There's going to be some more gaming footage put up this week. Obviously, you can find the podcast. You're already on the channel. New episode this week. All types of stuff. Stay tuned for all of the stuff that we have coming up with the Black Geek documentary. We already, as you would have heard on the podcast, we are starting the second arm of filming. Doing all of our hero interviews. First stop is New York at the end of this upcoming
Woo.
month. So that's gonna be a good time. But yeah, just stick around, stick on our social medias. You'll see any updates. Where we may be in a city near you. I don't know though,
I,
because like some of y'all live in like Iowa, we probably won't be in a city
dang,
near you.
you didn't have to throw that one in there, that was smooth. Just in a city near you. I was like, hey, nice. But
Nah,
he had to
because what if
stab
somebody?
Iowa.
Nah, because somebody from like Kansas is gonna be like, oh, when y'all coming to Topeka? I'm just like probably
Gosh.
never. No,
You
shout
never
out to
know. You never know.
Oh, we'll see. But until next time, peace out.
Bye.
I thought you froze for a second. I
Oh,
was like,
really?
damn.